What if one of the most chaotic periods in all of history actually holds the answers to our biggest leadership challenges today? We're about to dive deep into the Three Kingdoms era of ancient China. And trust me, it's a massive case study in strategy and power that offers some pretty profound insights for anyone trying to navigate today's corporate battlefield.
So let's just start with a quick question for you. When you really think about your own leadership style, what are you? Are you more of a mission-driven founder, building a culture from the ground up? Or are you the turnaround CEO, the one brought in to make those tough, data-driven calls and get results like yesterday? Keep that answer in your head because we're about to meet your ancient counterparts.
To really get these leaders, you first have to understand the world they lived in. We're talking about the end of the Han Dynasty, right? This was a 400-year-old imperial power that didn't just fall, it completely came apart at the seams. The central government basically lost its grip on everything, money, military, you name it. And that created this huge power vacuum that was quickly filled by ambitious, competing warlords. It was a time of total war, where your survival really depended on thinking in some radically new ways.
Sound a little familiar?
Yeah, this ancient chaos has some serious echoes in our own volatile world. Think about it. Market crashes, technological disruption, these fierce wars for talent, the challenges are pretty much the same, just maybe without the literal battlefields. And it was out of this crucible of uncertainty that three very distinct leadership archetypes emerged, each with a playbook that is, frankly, shockingly relevant today.
Okay, so first up is Cao Cao, who I like to call the pragmatic architect. This guy was an absolute master of organizational efficiency. He rose to power in China's wealthiest region by building a system based on one simple principle: results. He valued talent and performance above everything else. And I mean everything. Tradition, relationships, and yeah, sometimes even morality. So this is basically the profile of a modern-day turnaround CEO. The style is totally meritocratic and just ruthlessly results-driven, which is perfect for a corporate restructuring or for just steamrolling a competitive market. But of course, there's a downside, and it's a big one. This approach can create a brutal, high-pressure environment that just leads to burnout. He built systems designed for performance, not for comfort.
And wow, nothing captures his philosophy quite like this quote. This isn't just some dramatic line from a movie, it's a strategic doctrine. It really shows his unsentimental, super pragmatic approach to power, where loyalty is conditional and the ultimate goal is organizational stability, and he'd get there by any means necessary.
So, you might be wondering, how did he fund all these ambitions? Well, he came up with something called the Tuntian system. It was genius, really. He took unemployed refugees and soldiers, settled them on abandoned farmland, and gave them state-owned tools and oxen. The catch? In return, the state collected a whopping 50% of their harvest. This wasn't just an agricultural policy, it was a brilliant solution to a massive supply chain crisis.
When you break it down into modern business terms, this is just a masterclass in vertical integration. Step 1, identify your underutilized assets, in his case, land. Step 2, make an initial capital investment in tools and equipment. Step 3, establish a clear and, let's be honest, aggressive return on that investment. And finally, Step 4, reinvest all that surplus to fund your growth. He solved unemployment and logistics in one single move, creating the economic engine that powered his entire war machine.
Now let's do a complete 180 and meet Liu Bei, the virtuous leader. He started out as a humble sandal maker with a claim to royal blood, but, zero actual power. Where Cao Cao built his empire on systems and cold pragmatism, Liu Bei built his on values, on inspiration, and on deep personal loyalty.
Liu Bei is your quintessential mission-driven founder. His style is all about values, focusing on building teams through genuine care and leading by example. It's an incredibly powerful way to create a lasting culture or to attract top talent to a new startup. The risk, though, a leader like this can sometimes avoid necessary conflict just to keep the peace, which can really slow down critical change.
And this just illustrates the core tension perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you've got Cao Cao the consolidator, who puts systems over soul to build a pure meritocracy. On the other side, you have Liu Bei, the founder, who puts soul over systems, building his power on morality. This isn't just ancient history, it's the fundamental debate that's happening in boardrooms today. Do you scale with process, or do you scale with culture?
But what if victory doesn't go to the most efficient leader or the most inspiring? What if it goes to the most patient? And that brings us to our third archetype, Sima Yi, the ultimate master of the long game. He served under Cao Cao and his successors, quietly building his power through sheer endurance and exploiting institutional weakness. This quote is basically Sima Yi's entire strategy in a single sentence. He got that power isn't always won in these big, dramatic battles. Sometimes it's won by just outlasting your rivals, absorbing their attacks, and waiting for that one perfect moment to make a single, decisive move. His patience, it was his most lethal weapon.
His rise to power was an absolute masterclass in strategic patience. For decades, he served the Cao family, building trust while enduring constant suspicion. Then, to disarm his main rival, Sima Yi actually faked a debilitating illness, convincing everyone he was no longer a threat. And the moment his rival let his guard down, boom, he launched a swift coup and seized total control. It was a checkmate that was planned over a generation.
So, okay, we have the pragmatist, the virtuous founder, and the patient strategist. The obvious question is, which one is the best? But you know what? That's actually the wrong question. The real lesson from the Three Kingdoms is about something called contextual intelligence.
Here it is, the crucial point. Great leadership isn't a fixed personality type. It's the ability to read the situation and adapt your approach. The best leaders aren't just a Cao Cao or a Liu Bei. They know how to pivot between these styles depending on what the moment demands.
So think of this matrix as your practical diagnostic tool. If you're in a startup phase trying to build a culture, you need to channel your inner Liu Bei and focus on values. If you're in a turnaround crisis, you absolutely need Cao Cao's decisive, pragmatic action. And if you're in a stable but competitive market that needs a long-term play, well, that calls for Sima Yi's patience and strategic thinking. This is how you map that ancient wisdom directly to whatever business challenges you're facing right now.
So what are the timeless principles you can walk away with today? First, meritocracy scales, period. Second, well-designed systems will always outlast any charismatic hero. Third, remember that strategic patience is an offensive weapon. Fourth, integrity is a strategic asset for attracting the best talent. And finally, never ever forget logistics. Your supply chain is the teeth of your strategy.
So as we wrap up, I'll just leave you with this one question. Your organization is facing its next great challenge. You've got the playbooks of the architect, the founder, and the strategist right at your disposal. The only question left is, which leader will you choose to be?